Have you guys ever wanted to change your own spark plugs and wires but never felt like you had the information to do it? Let's learn about it today. Today's video is brought to you by the 2019 CamaroCon event t-shirt. Check out the link below and see if we have your size in stock today. What's going on, guys? Matt over here, Lethal Garage, and today we're going to install spark plugs and wires. We're gonna really just dive on into this, but before we can actually dive on into it, I don't have a proper spark plug gapper. If you guys don't know, every spark plug can be gapped and every vehicle has its own recommendations. And then when you get to the point where you're building a car and going for a ton of power, such as mine with it being supercharged, there's some things that you should keep in mind. Now, I don't know all of the answers, but I do know how to put spark plugs in a car and hook up wires. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna head over to Red Barn Racing. We're gonna harass Mike a little bit because he's got a really good gapper, not like one of those little coin gappers that you get at O'Reilly's. There's nothing wrong with those, but when it comes to, I guess you could say, race car stuff, my car's not a full race car yet. It's getting dang close, but when it gets to the kind of level that we're at, you want all the tolerances perfect, and Mike's got a really cool tool for that. So we're gonna head over there, check it out, show you his tool and how he gaps it, and also talk about why it's important to gap specifically. And sometimes it's hit or miss. You know, a lot of tuners and a lot of builders, when they're building high performance cars pushing 18, 20 plus PSI with the supercharger, there's a lot of things that you have to keep in mind, and a lot of them didn't know the answers right away until they got the car on the dyno and started really seeing how they perform. So Mike has a lot of experience with these. He has a lot of experience on what the Whipple does and the PSI that we're running will do. So he has very specific tolerances that we're aiming for. So let's over there and check it out. Also, on my way to Mike's, I gotta go drop off these 2 flex fuel kits. If you guys need a flex fuel kit for your car, hit up lethalgarage.com. Shameless plug, I know. So Mike, can you tell us why it's important to gap your plugs, or why? Why do people gap plugs? Because not every car's the same, I get it. But
well, every vehicle has its own manufacturer and stuff like that of their spark plugs and what they recommend for cylinder pressures versus coil voltage. Really the biggest reason, especially on the higher horsepower things, to gap your plugs a little tighter gap is to make sure that the spark doesn't blow out at high pressures.
Thanks, Mike at Red Barn Racing. And so we are gapping. So I talked about this a minute ago before I came over, but I don't know if you can read this box. This camera doesn't. There we go. NGK LTR 7IX-11 6510. If you call O'Reilly's, they'll hang up on you because they have no idea what you're looking for. And yeah, O'Reilly's in Temecula, you suck. But we found them at O'Reilly's in Murrieta. They're awesome. And huge high five to O'Reilly's at Murrieta. Yeah, Murrieta versus Temecula. Murrieta 1, Temecula 0. Yeah, all of that being stated, Mike is he's got this really cool gapping tool. Focus. It's like precision gapper.
This is the beginning of Gapplebee's. It's your appetizer.
So we're doing what, 25,000? 25 million?
I'll actually drop them down to 30.
Oh.
I got my fingers crossed.
So you're dropping them down, so they're actually gapped much larger.
Yeah, typically out of the box, these are at 40.
Oh, okay. So that's the distance of, gosh, focus camera, the distance of this little, what is that called? The arc?
Yeah, it's
the spark arc? I'm making words up in automotive world. It's great.
It's good to remember not to put a traditional spark plug gapper in there because it will break the tip off.
Yes.
That is a very delicate piece in there.
So he's basically pushing it down to be 30 thousandths. Just the tip. And the other fragile thing with spark plugs is these are porcelain. And if you drop it, it will crack. And if you crack the spark plug, throw it in the trash can, go buy another one.
Silicone? Silicone.
That's what bad shops use.
Well, you shouldn't drop it.
Okay, Maple. So while Mike is working on gapping things, this motor is going to be gapping a lot of things. This is a monster. It's basically full Frankenstein. This thing's got a $6,000 crankshaft in it. I don't think I could say who it's going to, but it is going to be a twin turbo setup making over 1,500 horsepower. Yeah, so back to my baby motor. We are back from Red Barn Racing. I already got one spark plug in, but I'm installing spark plugs and wires. The trick here is to not drop them, because if you do, you risk damaging the porcelain. The interesting thing is you just gotta get the right angle. And with 2-inch headers, it makes having big hands a little bit harder to get these in, but it's pretty straightforward. So I'm just starting these by hand. I don't want to get like a tool or anything and just crank them in. I don't want to cross thread, cause any sort of issues. So we hand thread these in, and then we use a spark plug socket to tighten them all the way down. I'm starting to think Mike put this water pump in just to drive me nuts. Now it's time for the spark plug wires. I did just get brand new GM spark plug wires. I probably should have got the MSD ones, but I didn't, because I fail. And since I already put the cover on the coil packs, I mean, this isn't going to be hard to do, but you just got to make sure they get seated all the way on, and definitely make sure they're not touching the headers. In my instance, we did have the water pump line force a spark plug wire onto the header. But there you have it. We've gapped, we've installed the spark plugs, and the wires are all in place. The biggest thing I can highlight is when you put the wires in, make sure you kind of hear a snap sound when you put them in. Now, if you saw in the video me kind of messing around with it, it was rotating the uppers where they attach to the coil pack, so that way they're not resting on the header. But overall, changing your own spark plugs and your wires is really easy. There's no reason to run out to a shop and pay them hundreds of dollars to do it. You literally can order all these parts online. In this instance, the spark plugs I'm using are a little bit different because of my build, but I've posted all links to the products that I'm using down below for my specific setup. And I'll also post links down below on what GM's recommendation is for you guys that have maybe just bolt-ons, etc., or just want to change your own spark plugs for your stock SS, or etc. So either or, thanks for checking out this video. Likes, comments, shares are always appreciated. Subscribes, that helps too. But until next time, guys, I'll see you on the road.